Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we have with us Dr. Sunanda, who completed her PhD in Ocean Biogeochemistry from IIT Kharagpur and is now working as a postdoctoral researcher at University of Hamburg. Today she will share her research journey, PhD experience, life abroad, and advice for students who want to do higher studies and research. So let's start the session. Let's start the conversation. Thank you so much, Sunanda, for to be here with us to share your experience as a postdoctoral researcher. I forgot the university name, but it will be interesting to hear from you because I am sure that it will be great inspiration for a lot of students out there. They want to know from you that is how you reached this position and how was your research journey and so on. So
Yes,
once again, welcome to the channel.
thank
And
you so much.
thank you so much. And will you give us a small introduction about your background and your current position and so
Yes,
on?
yes. So I am Sunanda Narayanan and I am from Kerala, but I did my PhD in Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, in West Bengal. So I am a recent, recently I completed my PhD. I completed my PhD last year in February. So I did my PhD in India. So I know the difficulties and whatever that the scholars in India that they face it regarding the fellowship, regarding the funding opportunities, regarding how they can explore themselves in the conferences. I know that. So now I am a postdoctoral scholar in University of Hamburg in Germany. So my broad area of research is ocean biogeochemistry. So I did my master's in meteorology from Cochin University of Science and Technology, and then I did my PhD in Kharagpur, and now then only I switched to ocean biogeochemistry, and now that's my area of research. Yes.
And the main thing I want to know is your transition from a PhD student from India to the postdoctoral position. So how was it? How did you apply for this position?
Yes. So I think when I was about to finish my PhD, that was like in the end of 2023, when I was writing my thesis. So that's when I started sending out cold emails. So just like that, I had made a list of professors, and then I started sending cold emails. But then I was mostly getting a no, because either it will be like they do not have enough funding, or they might say that okay, we don't really know when you will complete your PhD, because I was just writing my thesis, so there was no concrete answer for them that when I will complete my PhD. So that's when I realized that was not the right approach to do the things. But even then I was applying for the open positions that are being advertised in med jobs. There are some particular portals where we see all these open positions, so I also applied for them. But most of them I got an HR rejection. It was not even an interview rejection, it was an HR rejection. So that's when I realized that it was because my PhD was not yet complete. So there was no correct answer whether when I will finish my PhD or whether I have submitted the thesis. So there was no answer for that. So in all my cover letters, I wrote that okay, I expect to finish it within 3-4 months, but that's not enough. So that's when I realized that that was not the right way to do it. But when I kept an eye out for all the open positions that are related to my area of research. So I had applied for almost everything that came in that way, except for those which said that you have to complete your PhD. That means there was like they were asking for the final certificate. So only those positions I omitted. The rest of them I applied, like no matter whether I get rejection or not. I used to apply for all of them. So then I just had one interview before this. So that was also in Germany. So there were just two positions that I gave interview for. That was the only interview experience that I had. The rest of them were like straight HR rejections. So interview was a totally different experience. So whatever interviews that I've attended in India for the project scientist positions or any temporary positions were way more, very, very difficult to crack, I would say, because it was more like, you are the candidate is being judged for what they don't know. So
Yes.
that's the approach that Indians usually make. But
Yes.
here in abroad, I don't see that. They usually see for the candidate what they know and how much they are fitting into that particular role. So that was a very nice experience for me. Both these interviews were really nice. It actually helped me realize that, okay, can I do have some kind of a potential to work on these things. And also they are also aware that, okay, the things that I don't know, because like during the interview process they are also very much aware, and the whole interview process was very smooth. I would say it was more like an interaction, just like how we both are doing right now. It was more like, asking about myself, telling about them. So it was more like a discussion that I felt very good. So even if I don't crack that interview, in the end of the day, I felt very relieved. That feeling I never got when I
From
attended
India.
any interviews in India. Yes.
I also had the same experience. Like when I attended the interview for the PhD position in IIT Madras, they
Yeah.
started from my plus one, plus two. The questions are
Exactly.
like they were trying to fail me actually. This is the
Correct. Correct.
way
Correct.
I felt. But when I attended the interview here in Monash University, Australia, so they were like, he was talking about cricket, he was asking about my previous research, he was explaining their research
Yes.
in our group, the current my group. So it was like the entirely different.
Yes, that I can totally relate what you're saying, because
Yes.
they usually explain about their research, they explain about their group, and also they try to understand how we manage conflicts. That is very important actually. I would say in a research career, how you are managing conflict, how you are managing your failures, because research is mostly about 99% failure and 1% success. If I can describe my PhD, it was more like that. It was days of failure and 1 day of success, and that for 1 day of success you have to keep going. So how do you manage that? That is what they wanted to know here in Hamburg, University of Hamburg. When I attended the interview, they really asked me like, how do you manage and how do you plan your day? So that felt like very good, and I told that I have a to-do list. So they asked me, okay, you have a to-do list, very good, but how do you, like if something goes wrong in the to-do list, how do you manage that? Because that's also very important. Not every day goes according to the plan. It will not go like that. So how do you manage that? How do you come up after that? So those things were discussed more than just my work, because my work is already known to them by my papers, from my CV. They already know it.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to know more about it. Of course, they asked certain questions about my presentation, yes,
Yeah.
but more about me as a researcher, how I deal the situation. So that was more. It was very interesting interview, I would say. So that was really. It was a very good experience, but the transition from PhD to postdoc was very difficult, I would say, for me, especially. I did my PhD in India, so where we were not allowed to take any independent decisions. So I'm
Mm.
not pointing out just to my PhD research, but in general, I have seen that it's very hard for researchers in India to take an independent decision on their own. So that's very difficult. So when I came here, it was all like, okay, you do it, you take your own decisions. So that was very difficult. So initially, I used to update every single thing to them. Every single the first 1 day, whatever I do, I used to update to them. So they were like, no, we don't want to know that. Just give us an update after a week. That is fine with us. So it was very difficult for me, because I was used to giving updates every day.
Yeah.
So I felt very, and also taking holidays. It was like more of a guilt in India. Whenever we take holidays, it was very guilty for us. Like we feel like, okay, we are wasting so much time. And even during holidays, we are expected to answer the emails, sometimes even write papers. So, no, most of the times I would say. So, it was like that. But here, holidays are complete holidays. No, there is no need to communicate. So, those things were very, very difficult to, like transition myself to that. But yeah, now I think I'm slowly getting onto the track. Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. Yeah, I also felt the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
it will be really relaxing for you right after you joined as a postdoc in
Yes.
Germany.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah. How long it was after you
Uh,
joined?
So it's been a year and 2 months now.
Mm.
So I have one more year. Next May, my current contract is getting over next May. So maybe it will get extended or not. I've not thought about it right now, but ultimately I want to go back to India. That's for sure. But I mean, I don't have plans to settle down here. But yeah, but I also like working here. I also liked the kind of, so I want
Culture.
to inculcate all the working culture that I learned from here, and I will
Mm.
try to build a group inculcating this working culture. This is my ultimate aim, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, that's really a great aim, I would
Yeah.
say. And so you started, it's been 1 year, right? What's your
Yes.
experience as a postdoctoral researcher, though?
Yeah, so initially, I mean, I'm the only Indian in my group. So they don't, I mean, all of them who are, there are many postdocs in my group as well, but all of them did their PhD here in Germany. So they are already aware of the working culture in Germany. So German working culture is very straight. I mean, you might have heard the stories about they're very direct, but they're very direct. Actually, they're very direct. So they will say like, okay, they will ask us. First of all, that the first thing that really shocked me was whenever they schedule a meeting, work meeting, they would ask us first, "Are you okay with this
Right.
time?" That was really shocking for me because that never happened in India. Never ever happened in India. It's not just my group, but in general, they like expect us to be like fully available all the time. But here they really give us that importance. You know, all our words are very important. So even in the group meeting, whenever somebody else present, also we all have like we can be open about openly giving them suggestions, giving them everything. So that was one thing that I felt like very it was very good for me to understand, made me feel important, like made my plans also important. That
Right.
I felt very good, even though I never make any plans during my work day. That's because of the culture that we are being shown. But the thing is, it was very good, like at least in some point of time when I have some emergency, I can really tell them like, okay, I have this emergency, I cannot make it for the meeting today, and they take it very positively. That's something I liked it. And second thing is the kind of suggestions that they give for any presentation. So usually they take up every presentation very seriously. So in India, I have seen that whenever we present, if it is not relevant to our topic, people don't give any damn to that. You know, they don't even listen to that topic. This I've
Seriously.
seen, and it is mostly like just to give some criticism. It's not even, it's mostly to that group or mostly to that person. Mostly the criticism is on to that person, not even to that work. But here I see that it's due to it for the work. It's for the work, and it's only it's focused only on like bettering your work. It's only focused on that. The criticisms are very much focused only for making your work better. So
Yes.
in the end of the day, when you finish it, they also they also actually they also appreciate you. That felt really good. So hearing appreciation, even the poster, I have attended one conference after coming here. So I am basically in the model development team, so that's why I don't have many more conferences. So it's like very focused meetings I go, and I also attend like a lot of very focused meetings. So there, everyone is important, regardless of you're a postdoc, you are a scientist, you are a professor. Everyone are important, and it's not like nobody takes your criticisms personally. It's about the work. So that part was very it was very good for me. I also started seeing it in that way. Initially, I was very quiet in all the group meetings. Like I was also not even speaking a one word because I felt like, okay, I don't know this topic, maybe I should not talk. This was
Yes.
the first thing that came to my mind. But then my professor explained to me, like, no, you should talk. You should actually, you can tell anything that you want. You can even ask very stupid doubts. It's completely fine. So, and with the initiative of others in my group, we have started a Q&A. It's like just for the scholars and the postdocs, early career postdocs. Just we have started a Q&A where we just talk about one topic and we start, like we allow the people who are sitting there to ask any stupid questions. So that's what we started recently, and it feels really good also to you know talk about your research and ask, and everyone are aware of what they are doing. Everyone in the group are aware of what they are doing. So that is something I felt really, it felt really good actually, and I feel very productive here. I feel like, okay, if I can take rest without feeling guilty. That is something I like. So no need of feeling any guilty. Like when I'm not feeling well, if I'm not feeling mentally, physically, emotionally, it's completely fine. I can just tell my supervisor that I'm not feeling good today. Can I just take work from home? She will be like, okay, if you don't feel like working, just take sick leave. So the work culture is it's very good here. It gives you an importance as a person, as a human. You are made to feel important. That's something I like a lot here. Yes.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned about cold mailing and applying for funded open positions, right?
Yes.
How's your experience on that? Which one worked well, in your opinion?
Yeah. So cold emails. So the one that the professor that I'm working here right now,
Mhm.
I'll also send a cold email to her. So what happens is when there was an open position and when I applied, she remembered me. She was like, okay, you contacted me through email, and that time
Yeah.
I did not have open position. So she actually remembered me.
Remember.
And when you do the cold email, also you have to be very, it should be very light email, but also it should contain your CV and your maybe your one page thesis outline maybe. This is how I did, so that the professor or the scientist whom you're emailing doesn't have to feel like, okay, this is just another random email.
Mhm.
So that part you have to be very careful, I think. And cold emails, yes, I got mostly it was a no, that's for sure. But the no was mostly related to the funding related things. And one professor from Brown University in USA, she told me like, if you can find a fellowship like a Nehru Fulbright or Nehru or anything, I can host you.
Support.
So that was also one part of,
Positive.
like, giving a positive thing. And I also applied for some fellowships. Like there was a fellowship called as CICOES, that's for oceanography. If I'm right, I think it's for oceanography. So that was like, we need to write a proposal and then we need to submit it, and then we go through a rigorous round of review, and then we. So I made a mistake there. I wrote the proposal based on Indian Ocean. So that proposal was not relevant for their area of research. So
Mhm.
that was the feedback that I got. Like, your proposal is indeed very good, but the thing is, it's not relevant to our area of research, because I think their area of research was mostly either world ocean completely, or it's like very very focused on their related, like very small domain or anything. So that was one thing. So I also got a lot of good feedbacks also, like so. And the cold emails that I sent, some of them really got back to me later also, like they were saying that, okay, now I have a position, do you want to apply? So that has also happened. So it's also based on your luck. And the second thing I would say is, because I'm from IIT, I had a good advantage that the professors took my email very seriously. So I don't know if it is the same for any state universities or central universities, because people abroad here, they know only IIT. That's something. India has a lot of other good institutions, but they don't know any of them. That's something that I have realized after coming here. So that is maybe one advantage that I had, because I'm from IIT. So that advantage I had, so that I got email replies to most of the emails that I sent. Even though it's a no, I got a reply. So that was there. But I would ask the young researchers upcoming, if they want to come to Germany, they should explore open options like Humboldt, Marie Curie, and all the open fellowships that they have. They should really look forward for that. And if they want to do it in US, they should also look for the NASA postdoctoral fellowship. There is something called like that. So that those are like those things, they require your proposal. So if you have a good proposal, if you can convince your host institution that they can actually supervise you for the next 2 years of the fellowship, that will be very good. So these are some options that is there other than the open positions. But as far as I know, and my other friends, most of us have got into these open positions, not the fellowships. So it's like it's a very, luck based, not only luck based. I would say it's like the
Effort
time
as well.
based. Like, yes, the exact time it comes, it should be favorable. So that all the things should be favorable. So that's when you get a lot of yes. And there were some positions that I applied in US which I never got. I mean, there was not even a no. It's been like 1.5 years now. So there is no mention of whether that position is cancelled, whether that position is taken. So there are some things like that also. It's even now when I log in, I can see that the position is still there. So there are like that also. So it takes time. So that's also there. Yes.
Right, right. Yeah. Is there anything you want to share other than this? Maybe.
So, so for postdoc, if you really want to do a postdoc, I would highly recommend you to the young researchers to do it outside India. I mean, because it's not. I mean, I know that there will be like some situations that they are also forced to do it in India. I'm not saying that it's a bad decision. It is definitely a good decision, but then go for like premier institutions like IAC, IIT. Go for that, or go for that NPDF, National Postdoctoral Fellowships, if you're doing it in India. That gives you a lot of confidence. But if you're doing it abroad, please be very sure that if you want to go get into academia, then you do a postdoc. Otherwise, I think it's not needed. Like, if you really want to get into academia, then you go for postdoc, because postdoc is not the only option that you have after PhD. There are many other options. If you want to get into industry, that's also fine. If you want to get into like as a project scientist, that's also fine. So there are many options, but the thing is what you actually want. So if you really want to get into academia, 3 years post PhD work experience is very, very important. Otherwise, you will not get hired in India as into a permanent position. So this is something that I learned when I came here. So that's what. So I would highly recommend people to go into postdoc if they really have a foreseen academic career in their mind. Otherwise, there are many other options that they can explore. But I would highly recommend them to, explore postdoc outside India. That will
Right.
give you a very good, nice overview about research. So that's something I would highly recommend. Yes.
Yeah. It's really a great talk. So thank you so much, Dr.
Yes.
Sunanda, for sharing
Thank
your
you.
experience with us.
Thank you. Thank you.